If you've ever been excited for the boys of summer and the sweet sounds of baseball, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and happy opening day, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is the Thursday, March 26th edition. I got to be honest, a little bit light on news. There's obviously some back and forth geopolitical stuff, but otherwise kind of a light news day. We're going to cover what is important out there. We're going to get you all set for the market here today, and then we're going to do some trading as we're one day closer to the end of the week. Also, as a reminder, next week is a 4-day week as we have Good Friday off. So not only will we not have a show, but the market will not be open, and as a result, the trading week will be truncated by a day. I don't know how much impact that's going to have at the remainder of the week here, but something to keep on deck for next week. Today is Thursday, March 26th, 2026, and Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope the rest of your Wednesday was fantastic. We're back for another one, the penultimate day of the week here on Thursday. Peter's going to be first here today. Warm day here. You know what, Peter? It's actually pretty warm here. It's 56 here at 7 o'clock in the morning. That is pretty warm. We actually nearly touched 70 yesterday in Chicago. Supposed to get some rain, but we'll see how that all holds out. Good to have you back here. Good morning. Richard Judge, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you as always. Derek, good morning. Welcome, Derek. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. Robert, welcome back. Crispy Biscuit, welcome back. Good morning and good to see you. Zach, good morning, or I believe good afternoon to you, but nonetheless, adjusting his welcome for the U.S. market, which we always appreciate. CNBC had an article on drones yesterday, and Eric Brock, the CEO of Ondas, was interviewed. The secret is no longer such a secret, and Ondas has hit the big screens. Buckle up, drone plays. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I actually saw the headline for that. It is a CNBC Pro article, so it's locked behind a paywall. Otherwise, I would have shared that here with you today. But good catch, Zach. Good catch. We were early, weren't we? We were early. Let's see how it shakes out here over the next couple of years. The good news here is that it's already been such a good run. It should already have substantial gains booked, and the rest of this should be easier to hold for a big move and should eventually at this point just be gravy. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave, good morning. Didn't take long for the market to turn red. No, we're chopping around. We'll look at that on the SPY chart here. We've talked about what it looks like and where we could go next. We talked about really wanting to reach that 10% pullback level. Seems like a lot of folks are kind of waiting that out, which I think is the smart thing. So we'll take a look at the chart there pretty soon. Marty, good morning. And you were asking about Xena. Again, was not in the, did not read the article because I don't have CNBC Pro, but if we get a hold of that, I'd be happy to let you know. Brian, good morning. Marty says there has to be a nickname for Thursdays. Okay. Zach says hump again day. I don't think that's what we're going to do, but LOL. Brian suggests tantalizing Thursdays. We'll have to see about that. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Whis, good morning. Welcome back. Whis, how are your Braves going to do this year? And are you excited? Let me know. Producer, thanks as always for making the show go on. Good morning. AC, good morning. Welcome back. Potg, good afternoon. Potg from Belgium. What's going on? We have our international audience here, and we absolutely love that. Good morning, Jay Wild. And then Marionette, good evening from Asia. So filling out our global viewership here. We're always about that. Really good stuff. Hello and good evening to you. Jane, good morning. Welcome back. Jay Wild, taking a look at Battle. You know what? Maybe we can add that to the stock list here. With no guest and kind of light news here today, I would imagine we're going to do plenty of ticker time here today. So we'll absolutely take a look at Battle. We'll start getting those queued up here. Hoot, good morning, welcome back. Linda, good morning, welcome back. Bernhard, good morning, welcome back. Big Bees, good morning indeed, welcome back. Cam, good morning. Kelly, good morning. JJ, good morning. Jay Harris, good morning. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Brian's cheering for the Mets. Who do they play again today? Or they played last night against San Francisco. No, that was the Yankees. Let me know who the Mets played today. Actually, I'm not sure. The Noob, good morning. Welcome back. Robert, good morning. It's good to see you again, Robert. Hope all is well in your corner of the universe. We missed you. Kenneth, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Who am I missing here? Kelly or two, good morning. Astro Kev, good morning. Captain Cloudy is locked back in. Let's go. Kelly says, thanks to this show, I made money on Ugrow. Now, I want to point something out here. This is really important to me. Congratulations to Peter, who shared with the group yesterday that he did very well on Ugrow too. Very, very happy to hear that. I know Ugrow had some movement earlier, but here's what I like the most about this. The huge move in Ugrow really happened in the afternoon, long after the show was over. So what we're doing here is working. If we're putting things on your radar, and then when we're not around, you end up making money on these stocks, that means that we're doing something right. That means that we're identifying the right things. You're being patient and waiting for your setup. And then if you're trading and you're profitable on these trades, that means you're doing a really good job managing your risk. So the fact that these moves that sometimes happen after our show are leading to big gains for our viewers, that makes me a proud papa, you could say. That is absolutely awesome, Kelly. I'm so happy to hear that. Congratulations. I hope that you're able to repeat that here today. Just passing through. Good morning. Yeah, thanks, Bigabees. Bigabees saying nice bumper. Good job, producer. I'm telling you, the folks that work behind the scenes, I know that you don't get to see them on camera here. We have an amazing team behind the scenes. They are extremely talented. They continue to impress in just things that I don't even know are coming, like this new bumper. I just woke up one morning and producer's like, we got a new bumper. And he played it. And I'm like, it's awesome. We have a great team behind the scenes. And I think what we should do is we should smash up the like extra hard today. for those people behind the scenes. It's my talking head that's on here every day, but I could not do it with those behind the scenes. Producer, the video people, the clip people, all of you, absolutely amazing. We really appreciate that. Thanks for the compliment, Bigabees. We'll pass that on to the team as well. Crankbait, good morning. Love the name. Maverick, good morning. Perp for Lifeski. Good morning. Dirkus, good morning. Good to see you again. Jamaican, good morning. Good to see you again. Sea Boogie, good morning. JD, good morning. Let's see, who else do we have here? Johnny, good morning, welcome. Kenzo, good morning. Brent, good morning. Thanks for checking in, Brent. What do you got on deck here? EEIQ, okay, Brent's already in it. He's already knee-deep in the trades. Yeah, absolutely love it. Yassine, good morning. Welcome back. And Kenjalia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, welcome. Good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, red arrows across the board here this morning after a fairly decent day yesterday. Red arrows here in the pre-market. S&P futures down 0.81%, Dow futures down 0.74%, and the NASDAQ futures leading the way down 0.99%, or down by 1% here in the pre-market. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session. Let me get it up here for you. And here we go. Consumer discretionary, materials, and healthcare stocks led the S&P 500 higher on Wednesday, while energy and real estate sectors finished in the red. Here. Boop. All right. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said in a media briefing on Wednesday that, quote, if Iran fails to accept the reality of the current moment, President Trump will ensure they are hit harder than they have ever been hit before. He is prepared to unleash hell, end quote. So much for toning it down. This unfolded as President Trump said on Wednesday that Iran was eager to reach a deal to end the nearly 4 weeks of fighting, which contradicts Iran's foreign minister, who said Tehran was reviewing a U.S. proposal but had no plans to end the conflict. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.37%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.94%. CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show the market is pricing in a 93.8% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves the current interest rates unchanged at the April meeting. Now, I've got several stocks in focus here for you today. And again, it's not a ton of stuff going out there, not a ton, but there are some things. This one would generally appear on our movers list, so happy to get this one out of the way here. First stock is going to be OPLX Holdings. Ticker is OLPX, and it surged 48.12% in the pre-market on Thursday after it announced to be acquired by Henkel AG & Co. $206 per share in cash. This represents an equity value of approximately $1.4 billion. So that's a takeover there. Next one here is going to be Fiscal Note for the penny players. Get excited. Ticker on this one is NOTE, and shares declined 3.94% after it received notification from the New York Stock Exchange that it no longer complies with the NYSE's continued listing standard requirement companies to maintain an average closing share price of at least $1 over 30 consecutive trading day period. So we'll see what happens with that. Next here is going to be Worthington Steel, and the ticker on this one is WS. It plunged 14.04% after reporting weaker than expected third quarter financial results. The next stock on our list is Miller Knoll. The ticker on this one is MLKN, and it slumped 19.16% after reporting worse than expected third quarter financial results and issuing weak fourth quarter earnings guidance. The last stock on our list is Pony AI. That's ticker PONY. We've traded it a whole bunch. And it was 2.11% higher after it partnered with Verne and Uber to launch Europe's first commercial robotaxi service. All right, let's take a look at that SPY chart, folks. Where are we at here today? Well, what we have been doing, and notably so, we have been trading sideways beneath the 200-day. And as you can see, we actually had 3 tests of the 200-day, and we were unable to recapture this moving average level. So the good news here is that although we are unable to recapture that, we haven't really broke down yet. Now, today, with the red arrows here in the pre-market, we're actually set to gap beneath the trend line. This was a trend line that marks the support or bottom end of a broadening descending wedge. We identified this off the 4-hour chart there on SPY. We look to break beneath that here, or we look to open beneath that, excuse me. And the question is really going to be, do we trade lower than this? Now, this area right here, this 650 area, this has been one that's been pretty key already here, going back to October of 2025, and then again in November of 2025. This area has acted as support, and looks like today it might give way. Now, where do we go next, or what levels might come into play here next? Certainly, you might see something at the 640 area. It's kind of a round number, but it also has some consolidation from August of 2025. But ultimately, I really think that 620 to 628 is likely where we're going to go here. That would represent a 10% correction from the all-time highs in the SPY. And I think that would just be pretty good for setting us up for a potential up move once this poor seasonality period ends. Remember, the second worst period of the year for the market is that second half of March, first half of April. That's squarely where we find ourselves right now. So a little pullback here. Not only would that not be unexpected, sorry for the double negatives, but that would also do really well for maybe resetting some of these asset prices. Now, we'll see what other stocks move with it. As a reminder, software stocks have already kind of corrected a little bit. So there's going to be pockets of opportunity in there. But one of the things I'm looking for here is if we continue to break down here today, where do we end up stopping? I'd be curious from the group, what support levels do you folks have? And if you're currently bearish, what move down or what area on the chart would cause you to turn bullish? Or does it just depend on the conflict in the Middle East or some other factor? Let me know what it is that you're looking for if you're trying to be patient and waiting to deploy cash. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. According to BlackRock, March 2026 commentary, the firm has downgraded U.S. stocks to neutral as escalating Middle East conflict creates a significant, quote, macro shock, end quote. This geopolitical instability has triggered a sharp repricing in energy markets, leading to expectations of a prolonged supply disruption that could drag on global growth by approximately 7.75% or 0.75%. BlackRock highlights a growing market disconnect, noting that the current equity prices do not yet reflect the macro damage that energy pricing implies. While the S&P 500 remains near record highs, the firm warns that higher energy costs and uncertainty will soon weigh on demand. Economically, the energy shock has further weakened the case for the Fed easing rates earlier this year. See, I knew that this was going to kind of change around, so I've actually come up with a backup plan, and I just like to see that worked there. I really do. Market expectations have shifted dramatically from anticipating 3 rate cuts towards, quote, veering towards a hike, end quote. BlackRock suggests the window for Fed intervention is, quote, closing fast as persistent inflation and high debt burdens keep bond yields elevated. Consequently, they're dialing down tactical risk, remaining cautious until tangible evidence of de-escalation appears. So again, I just kind of reiterate my my call there. What is it that you're waiting for? Is it a specific level? Is it the same thing, the de-escalation that you can feel confident about? Is it a combination of those two or an intersection of those two? Let me know. And then also at the bottom of the article here, we do have the initial jobless claims for the week ending March 21st. That'll be out by 8:30. We have a series of Fed speakers scheduled for this evening. Governor Lisa Cook at 4, Stephen Mirren at 6:30, Philip Jefferson at 7, and Michael Barr at 7:10. All right. Next story here. And this one, the headline got me. I'll admit. So if this ends up not being interesting or you think this is kind of nonsense, you'll definitely have to let me know. But the headline here got me. Headline here is NVIDIA could crash over 70%. And Scott Galloway says AI is corporate Ozempic. Haven't heard that one before, but here we go. NYU professor and tech commentator Scott Galloway warns that the current artificial intelligence market is a massive bubble, predicting that high-flying tech stocks like NVIDIA, NVDA, could plummet by as much as 70%. You folks will have to let me know if you think a 70% plunge is possible. Speaking on the Inside Economics podcast alongside Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi, Galloway cast heavy doubt on the sky-high expectations surrounding AI-centric companies. He noted that the sector now represents roughly 40% of the S&P 500. For these companies to justify their astronomical revenue multipliers, Galloway argued that they either need to drive unprecedented job destruction to create corporate efficiencies or face a severe market correction. Which one do you think we're going to end up getting here? Galloway strongly believes the latter is imminent, predicting that major tech players will soon see their valuations slashed. Quote, if NVIDIA goes down 70%, everyone's going to feel it, end quote. He cautioned, likening the potential crash to historical tech market corrections such as Amazon's brutal 97% drop during the early 2000s dot-com bubble burst. You let me know if you think that's going to happen here. Galloway also dismissed the apocalyptic narrative that AI will rapidly wipe out the global workforce, instead describing the technology as a convenient tool for corporate trimming. Quote, I find that AI is like corporate Ozempic, end quote. He goes on to explain that just as the popular weight loss drug reduces caloric intake, AI allows tech companies to sever the traditional link between revenue growth and mass hiring. Board members are now looking at their CEOs asking, how can they do more with less? This gives companies a way to enjoy great taste with less calories by quietly shrinking their workforce while maintaining profit margins. Ultimately, Galloway believes the catastrophic warnings from tech founders about AI destroying the labor market are mostly a smokescreen. He argued that executives are using the promise of an AI revolution to, quote, wallpaper over their managerial incompetence, end quote. Damn. Such as overestimating consumer demand and drastically overhiring during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Galloway, laying off thousands of employees under the guise of being a cutting-edge AI-driven enterprise plays significantly better to Wall Street investors than admitting to poor business forecasting. That makes sense. And as far as NVIDIA goes here, it's been an underperformer. Shares of NVIDIA have declined by 4.19% year to date, mirroring the losses in the NASDAQ 100 index, which fell 4.14% in the same period. The stock was 0.56% higher over the last 6 months and 48.05% higher over the last year. It closed 1.99% higher at 178.68 a piece on Wednesday. All right. Here we go. Now we've got some more opinion on that. This one is going to come from Larry Fink. And the headline here is that Larry Fink says AI will gut white-collar jobs and winners will be electricians and plumbers and not bankers. Now, we're going to go through the story here, but just on that headline there, I actually think this would be a great thing. This would be a great thing. If you've known anything about me or we've had some of these discussions in other forums, you know that I am absolutely a fan of the trades. I think young people should get more into the trades. I think the need for tradesmen of all kinds is never going to go away. I did that myself a little bit, my first experience out of high school, and I still use those skills to today. So I liked hearing this, at least on the outset. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, ticker BLK, the fund manager that oversees $14 trillion in assets, in an interview with the BBC this week, said something unusual to hear from Wall Street, that American society made a mistake by idolizing careers in finance and law while quietly looking down on people who work with their hands. And indeed, I can say this, at least in my experience, and it wasn't as long as some of these other professionals, there was absolutely that kind of air of arrogance and looking down on people that work with their hands. And it's amazing because one of the things that I learned is that evaporates awfully quick when those people need help that they can't do with their own hands, as an aside. Fink says, quote, "We really put judgment on so many jobs and so many people who probably should not have gone into banking or media or law," end quote. Fink said that in a podcast episode that was released yesterday. We need to now rebalance that approach. Now, Fink's argument is mathematical. Artificial intelligence is going to hollow out demand for certain white-collar roles, but what it can't replace is the physical infrastructure needed to run itself, like the data centers, the power grids, and the electrical systems. The people who build those things are electricians and welders and plumbers, and right now there aren't enough of them. So if you're looking for a potential job, maybe that's the place to go. His latest annual letter to shareholders, published earlier this week, puts numbers behind the rhetoric. U.S. employment for electricians is growing 3 times faster than the national average. Many skilled trade jobs already pay well into 6 figures. That's even more so if you own the business. BlackRock's own philanthropic arm has committed $100 million to a program called Future Builders, aimed at placing 50,000 workers into skilled trades over the next 5 years. And again, I love every bit of this. The deeper issue, as Fink frames it, is cultural. He noted that investment bankers are glamorized in dramas like Industry, while plumbers are caricatured on TV. Quote, "We built the foundation of education after World War II and said all the young people, go to college, go to college, go to college," end quote. He goes on to say, "We probably overdid it." And I would say my own personal opinion there is that is indeed true. I'm grateful for my college experience. I met people whom are still a part of my life today. I wouldn't trade any of that. But being honest here, I've learned more about things I can do in real life from YouTube than I did from university. And that's just how it goes. And I spent an absolute fortune to go to school. I paid it off by myself, by the way. But there's a threat lurking beneath Fink's vision for the AI and trades economy, and it's coming from the Middle East. Stop me if you've heard that before. The ongoing war in Iran has sent oil prices back over 100 a barrel, or jostling thereabout, and Fink outlined 2 very extreme possible outcomes. If the conflict ends and Iran re-enters the international community, oil could fall back to below pre-war levels of $40 a barrel. If it doesn't, he warned, quote, "Years of above 100, closer to 150 oil, and a stark and steep recession," end quote. AI infrastructure requires enormous amounts of cheap, reliable energy, mostly natural gas. Fink's letter outlined how energy cost is the single biggest bottleneck to AI expansion in both the US and Europe. A sustained oil shock as the critical Strait of Hormuz remains largely closed raises the cost of powering the data centers that the AI economy runs on, making the U.S. more vulnerable and, in Fink's telling, handing a strategic advantage to China, which is aggressively building out solar and nuclear capacity. Quote, "I just see a lot of talk and no action," end quote. In Europe, he said, while arguing the U.S. to treat solar expansion as an AI competitiveness strategy, not a climate one. I think that's probably pretty smart. I still think AI is going to end up guiding all of this. The conflict, this too shall pass. AI will still be around. And I actually think Larry makes some pretty good points here. Pretty good points here. Okay, next story here. This is one that happened yesterday. We didn't talk much about this yesterday. We did get a couple of questions on the happy hour about this. This is another story. Very curious to how the group feels about this in terms of trading, both for the short term, in case there's maybe something to capture here real quick, but then also for the long term here. What does this mean for these companies and then other companies that have some type of social media platform? This right here is Meta Platform and Alphabet's YouTube. They were found negligent in the social media trial, and we got that penalty from the jury. So definitely want to get the group's opinion here. Producer, if you think of a really good poll tied to this story, I would absolutely love that. Go ahead and get that ready here. A jury on Wednesday ruled against Meta, ticker META, and Alphabet's own Google, ticker GOOG, Alphabet's YouTube, in a case about social media addiction. a lawsuit from a 20-year-old woman alleging that YouTube and Meta apps were addictive and caused harm to children was won on Wednesday. Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and other apps. The jury ruled in favor of the plaintiff against the technology giants, with the case proving that Meta and YouTube were negligent in purposefully designing their apps, as reported by the Wall Street Journal. The apps were found to be harmful to children and made to be addictive on purpose, especially for younger users. The plaintiff told the court that using the apps from the companies caused anxiety, depression, and other harmful impacts due to their addictiveness. Now, the one thing I want to stop right here, I think that there's some legitimacy to both sides of this. I really do. I think that I can see both sides of the argument. Yes, these apps are definitely made to exploit people and all of that. There's no question about that. We all kind of go through that. But there's got to be some own personal responsibility. And if we're talking about youngsters, then we should also probably talk about what are the parents doing and how are they handling this. I know some of my friends that are new parents here, they're definitely more receptive to not allowing children to spend loads of time on technology, and in particular by themselves, and all of that. So I know there's a back and forth, or there's credence on both sides here. But again, I'm very curious to get the group's opinion here. The jury awarded the plaintiff $3 million from both companies. The case could be far from over, with Meta and YouTube both likely to appeal the ruling, and I would expect that that's the case. The jury's ruling could lead to more cases brought forward against social media and app companies. And we'll see, like I said, how many other companies actually get dragged into this, right? And here's one that we're about to talk about. Several states have taken on companies like Meta and Snap, that's ticker SNAP, YouTube, and others over their addictiveness among young users and a lack of safeguards in place to protect children. Social media companies have typically been protected by Section 230, which provides liability protection to websites and platforms against lawsuits concerning content posted by users. The latest ruling could provide a new avenue for mounting legal challenges against the tech giants. So again, I want to get everyone's opinion here. Eagle here saying parenting absenteeism. I absolutely think that there's a part of that. Tyler here says they need to make money, use at your own risk. I agree with that too. It's at some point, though, some people are more susceptible to some of these things that are built into the design. Kathy here says there should be stronger parental controls. Congress needs to pass legislation. So Cam says, I'm addicted to addiction. I need to have something take over me. Okay, Cam. Look, there's a lot here. I don't think there's necessarily an easy solution here. I think back to my own life here. I was probably right on that border where it wasn't totally detrimental, but I still got like a crash course in technology and how that was going to affect my life, both for school, professionalism, and personally. So tricky, definitely tricky here, and I don't think we're out of the woods. So if you guys come up with any trade ideas for that, I don't have any current trade ideas on that, but if you folks come up with any, I definitely want to hear them. Definitely want to hear them. Okay, next story here is going to be about Tesla and the ride-hailing services. This is not going to go away anytime soon, that's for sure. Tesla, ticker TSLA, ride-hailing service in the state of California isn't classified as autonomous vehicle service or robotaxi, according to a statement by an official from the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC, on Wednesday. In an appearance on the Driverless Digest podcast on Monday, Pat Sen, who serves as the Deputy Executive Director for Consumer Policy, Transportation, and Enforcement of the CPUC, confirmed that the EV giant holds the same permit by the Department of Motor Vehicles that is issued to limousine operators in the state. Okay. Quote, Tesla is not operating an autonomous vehicle service, end quote. That came from Sen. adding that the CPUC classified vehicles based on the Society of Automotive Engineers, or SAE system, with autonomous vehicles being defined as an SAE Level 3, which illustrates that, quote, the onboard AI system is capable of navigating designated road conditions within an operational design domain on its own, end quote. Tesla was at level 2, and featured a safety driver, which is classified as a driver, even if they do not engage with the driving operations, and that is by CPUC rules. This also means that it was exempt from reporting any data to the CPUC, she confirmed. Sen shared that the automaker was, quote, not subject to the autonomous vehicle program reporting requirements, end quote, under those rules. The comments came as Tesla's gearing up to launch its Cybercab, which will retail for $30,000 and feature neither pedals nor a steering wheel. The Cybercab will also be ramping up production in April, as confirmed by Musk, who shared that production would be slow initially. However, Tesla's full self-driving, or FSD, system has been under scrutiny by the NHTSA, with a potential recall looming over the technology that serves as the cornerstone for the automaker's self-driving efforts, as well as its robotaxi. However, the agency has proposed amendments to the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, or FMVSS, which could boost development of the Cybercab. A recent analysis by investment bank Jefferies confirmed that while the robotaxi in Austin was cheaper when compared to its rival Waymo, Alphabet's Waymo, the service had an onboard safety operator on almost all the rides and grappled with availability issues. The service in January also reported 5 additional crashes in Austin, which takes the total number of reported incidents from mid-2025 when the service started to 14. So I don't really think, frankly, it matters right now what they're classified as. I don't think the technology is fully fleshed out and ready to go. And I would imagine that the current driver that's in the Tesla is not going to be there when everything is actually ready. So this is kind of the bleeding edge, if you will, of this new industry. And we'll see how it shakes out here. But I suspect that, oh, you know what? I was sharing the wrong story that whole time. I'm so sorry, guys. That's okay. I suspect that this is all going to get sorted out by the time this reaches critical mass. And let's face it, we are not yet at critical mass. So we'll see how this shakes out here. Now, speaking of robotaxi, and speaking of some of the smaller stocks that we sometimes trade here, Pony AI is going to make for our next news story here. Pony AI shares, or ticker PONY, shares are up in Thursday's pre-market session. The company disclosed a strategic partnership with Uber, ticker UBER, and fresh expansion plans for its robotaxi business. Okay, we'll see what this is classified as. Pony AI, Uber, and Verne have partnered to launch Europe's first commercial robotaxi service, which starts in Zagreb, Croatia, with on-road testing already underway. The companies will combine Pony's AI autonomous driving system, Uber's ride-hailing platform, and Verne's fleet operation to scale its service. Verne will own and operate the fleet, while Uber will integrate robotaxis into its network. Testing is being conducted using Pony's AI Gen 7 system on ArcFox Alpha T5 vehicles, with preparations for fare-based rides in progress. The partners aim to expand into additional European cities and grow the fleet to thousands of vehicles over time. Uber also plans to invest in Verne to support future expansion. Pony AI said it expects to deploy more than 3,000 robotaxis across over 20 cities globally in 2026, with nearly half its overseas markets as commercialization accelerates. The company reported strong fourth quarter momentum, with robotaxi revenue rising 160% year over year and fare-changing revenue surging more than 500%. This is driven by fleet expansion and increased user adoption. Pony AI said it achieved unit economic break-even in multiple Tier 1 Chinese cities, including Guangzhou and Shenzhen, where demand continues to grow rapidly. The company's fleet expanded to 1,446 vehicles from fewer than 300 a year ago, with total users in China approaching 1 million. Pony AI reported a fourth quarter adjusted loss of 12 cents per share, wider than the analyst estimates of 22 cents. That compares with a loss of 23 cents per share a year earlier. Revenue totaled $29.1 million, which topped expectations of $23.9 million, but declined about 18% from $35.5 million in the prior year period. The stock is currently trading 9.8% below its 20-day simple moving average and 17.8% below its 100-day simple moving average, which indicates bearish momentum. Shares have increased 3.26% over the past 12 months and are positioned closer to their 52-week lows than highs. The combination of neutral RSI and bearish MACD suggests mixed momentum. Now, looking at some of the other stats here, key resistance for ticker Pony is 1250. You got a key support down there at 1050. We talked about some of the EPS there. As far as analyst consensus here, Barclays initiated an equal weight with a price target of 15. That was back on December 17th of last year. We had Macquarie, I think is how you pronounce it, Macquarie. They initiated an outperform. They had a $29 target. That was back from December 15th. And Citigroup has a buy. They lowered their target to $24.50. That was from November 7th. It is in some ETFs here. It's not ones that we normally look at. The first one, the main one, is HAIL, H-A-I-L. The other one is CABS with a Z, so you know it's serious. All right, one more mover here, or would-be mover. This is a small cap stock here, but it got taken out. The ticker on this one is OLPX. OPLX Holdings, or ticker OLPX, shares were up in Thursday's pre-market after the company agreed to be acquired by Henkel AG & Co. for $206 per share in cash, which values the company at approximately $1.4 billion. We talked about this in the open. The offer represents a premium of about 55% to OPLX's March 25th closing price and roughly 45% above its 30-day volume-weighted average price, or VWAP. Upon closing, OPLX will continue operating under its brand name. It will delist from NASDAQ, and Advent International will fully exit its investment. The company said the deal will combine OPLX's science-led hair care brand with Henkel's global platform to expand international reach, accelerate product development, and deepen relationships with stylists and salons. The company expects to close the transaction in the second half of 2026. That's, of course, subject to regulatory approvals and customary conditions. Advent, which holds a majority of voting power, has already approved the deal, eliminating the need for further shareholder approval. OPLX said the combination will support innovation and growth by leveraging its direct-to-consumer and specialty retail presence in North America alongside Henkel's international footprint. CEO Amanda Baldwin said, quote, "Today marks an exciting next chapter for Olaplex, from our roots in the professional community to becoming one of the most trusted science-led brands in hair treatment. Our journey has always been fueled by innovation and a deep commitment to stylists and consumers." Executive Chairman John, or JP Bilbrey, added, quote, "Olaplex's growth reflects the strength of its science-led approach, its brand, and the dedication of its team." So we can look at some of this. It looks like the analysts were kind of on this, right? Telsey had a price target of 2. Jefferies had a target of 150. Barclays had a target of 125. I guess they missed it because they were the lowest there. But this is acquired. So you might see this on your movers list if you use the movers tool here this morning. No trade on this, as this has been taken out. Okay. That's what I have here for you for the news. How are we doing on time? 8:42. We are absolutely crushing it. Looks like you guys are already over some of the movers. Boy, we can't get to those soon enough, can we? Let's go ahead and knock out some of the street tweets here, and then we can take a look at some of those movers or any other stocks that you folks want to take a look at. I'm sure 13 is probably right now busy preparing for some of those movers. So if we can save those for when we bring him on, we can get you double the opinion and analysis, if you will, on some of those movers. And good morning to anyone that I might have missed. Selena, it's great to see you again. Reginald, great to see you again as well. Rooster, it's always good to see you. Welcome back. Bob, welcome back. Good morning, everybody. I hope we're ready for a really good Thursday here. All right, let's go ahead and do street tweets. All right, first one here is from the Kobisi letter, and this one, if you're watching TV, might come as a bit of a surprise, to be quite honest with you. Foreign holdings of U.S. Treasuries surged 34.8 billion in January to 9.3 trillion, which is the second highest on record. Japan, the largest foreign owner, purchased 39.8 billion, bringing the total to 1.2 trillion, the highest level since July of 2022. The UK, the second largest holder, posted a 29.3 billion increase to 895.3 billion. That's the third highest on record. China's stockpile, the third largest holder, increased 10.9 billion to a total of 694.4 billion, which is the highest since September. Meanwhile, the European Union holdings rose 8 billion to 2.1 trillion. Foreigners now own more U.S. debt than ever. Now, draw your own conclusions from this. The chart's in here. We can throw the chat, or excuse me, we can throw the tweet in there so you can kind of go through this or stay on top of this. But the surge in foreign holdings reflects global confidence in the U.S. as a safe haven asset amid uncertainty anywhere else. I feel like it was not long ago people were talking about BRICS taking over as the reserve currency. 13 and I did everything we could to tell you that that wasn't going to happen. And here we go. Now the data starts to show that. Now, could it change? Yeah, of course. But for right now, no indication that the U.S. dollar is going anywhere. Anywhere. All right, producer, next tweet. Next one here is from Gene Munster, and this is regarding the SpaceX IPO roadmap. So this is, I tell you what, I'd love to get an opinion from the group on this as well. How many of you, how do I phrase this correctly? How many of you want to trade this? But additionally, how many of you want to own and invest long-term in SpaceX? Does this IPO really kind of get you going? I think this is going to be the biggest one of the year, and that includes a lot of the AI IPOs that we think we're going to see. I got to imagine not only does this thing trade crazy, I would imagine that there is just a ton of demand for this. I don't really see that going anywhere. Anyway, the timing is early summer. Bottom line here, long-term, this is a generational company. And if you have the luxury to own one to own for the next decade, here's the other thing. Bob says, me in all caps. Bob, I guarantee that you are not alone in that. Guarantee. Market Sniper, it's good to see you. JD, it's good to see you. I'd invest if I can get a space ride. JD's trying to leverage his ownership there for a ride into space. That's something else. I think this one's going to be huge. I'm going to trade it too. The other thing is, I know it's going to be expensive, but I think that this, even if you tuck away 1 or 2 or 5 shares into your account, I think over the long term, that's going to end up being pretty good. We'll see how it trades though. For the first month, it will be a gong show. The first month will be a gong show between index buying, meme optimism, and lockup fears. Expect a massive price spike out of the gate before a pullback to about 1.7 trillion. I love that Gene's giving you the straight up playbook here. Bookmark this, right? I mean, bookmark this, because if this ends up working exactly as he says here, this is going to be a monster call. It is worth noting that current SpaceX shareholders, which includes Deepwater Asset Management, for which Gene works, likely won't benefit from early index buying due to the 180-day lockup. It just provides liquidity 6 months down the road. So, there was talk about maybe getting this, altering the rules a little bit so that this can be part of some of those index funds right from the IPO. And I think the point that Gene is making here is that if they do that, everyone that is an early IPO investor in this should benefit, right? Because if these are added to some of those index funds and then there's forced buying of the stock, it should go up from its IPO price. They're already in lower than where it's going to IPO at. And then I think what he's also telling you here is that, look, there's a bunch of big companies that have big positions in this, funds like Deepwater that have big positions in this. And if there's a big spike and a big rush and forced buying early on in the first 180 days, they're not going to be able to ring the register on it. Us as retail folk will be able to do that, but they won't. So again, this is going to be one of the biggest stories of the year. It's going to be one of the biggest IPOs ever. Probably is going to be the biggest IPO I've ever seen. I participated in the Twitter IPO when that first came to market, bought and sold it a little bit. But man, oh man, this is going to set some records. And again, looks like the early returns here in the chat. Reginald said, I definitely will in the future. Market Sniper saying SpaceX to the moon. JD mentioning Starlink here. Lost Penny, IPO on SpaceX, not the true value from the beginning, is going to be a hype momentum for day traders. And then it's going to be a drastic drop down on price. Elon Musk needs money for his AI operation. So there's opinions all across the board. That is what makes a market. I love to see it. I can't wait for this. I think this is going to be fun. And I think we're going to have a really good time here on the show with this. So should be pretty good. All right, folks, that does it here for Street Tweets. Let's go back to the Benzinga Pro workspace. And let's start doing ticker time here. So I had BATL. I think Jim was also asking about AIFF. Looks like you guys are going straight for the movers tool here. Uh-oh. Looks like we might have a problem with the movers tool. Let me just go ahead and report this real quick. Sorry for the dead air here. Sorry for the dead air here. All right, let's go back to the chart tool. We'll just start taking some of the individual names because everything else is still working here. It looks like just the filtering isn't. We'll start here with BATL. This is Battalion Oil. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the huge move up to 28. We pulled all the way back down here to $5. I mean, yikes. Well, now here we are. We're up 35.9%. So if we look inside here, looks like we are kind of trading back higher. Looks like maybe right here would be a possible resistance area, 773. We didn't quite get that yet. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually end up hitting that. But nice little move up here today after just a complete collapse of this stock, which I think we were kind of warning about. On Monday, the stock reported earnings, and they were less than spectacular. It was more of a loss than what analysts estimated. And then looking here, we got Form 144. So it looks like these are disposing of shares. Yeah. So it looks like there's another liquidation here. Stock is up 34% though here today. I think this is just going to kind of move around with the conflict and some of the headlines and the move around in the oil price. Obviously, oil trading up here today, but oil up 4.5%. So Battalion trading higher. I don't know if it accounts for a 30% move higher, but definitely moving higher here. What was the short interest on this one? I can't remember. 21.27%. Of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover. Man, oh man. Oh my. What is going on, Buffalo? You're saying there's a problem? All my other YouTube channels stream no problem. This one is a mess. Very weird. What is going on? Producer, work with Buffalo. What on earth is going on with that? Let me know. Let me know if you can. All right, so Battalion here. Maybe this gets kicked up here again with the move in oil. It certainly looks like it, but I would just say, just kind of looking at this daily chart, be very, very careful. Looking at possible next legs higher or where we might actually find some resistance. We're currently at about $7 here. That was about the start of the gap. I think you might get one between 850 and 9. That would kind of make sense. Let's take a look here and see what we're looking like on the 15-minute chart. Yeah, nine, I think is going to be a pretty big one. That's where we really kind of broke away from here. Okay, good to go. Fine. Stream is good. Fine. Okay. Yeah. I don't, man, oh man. Sorry, Buffalo. I don't know what's going on, but it looks like it's not on our end. Looks like everything is fine here. Okay. So I would say for Battalion, probably looking at 9. Next here, maybe a 12 handle. Maybe you get some type of resistance around the round $10 number, so on and so forth. But yeah, I would say 9 and 12 probably next here on Battalion. All right, let's take a look at AIFF. This has been another mover for us. This is Firefly Neuroscience. So let's go here. All right, so Firefly popping here. This is right back to where we basically were on Monday, right? This is Monday pre-market, basically right at the same level. It's worth noting that today's pop took us right to the same area that we stopped on Monday. So this 240 to 250 area, this is significant resistance. This also represented a kind of a consolidation trade sideways area back from March 16th. In there. Let's see if we had any news here on AIFF. Firefly, yeah, this is current as of today. Firefly Neuroscience partners with the Department of War to support assessment, treatment of active duty U.S. service members and veterans suffering from PTSD and or traumatic brain injury. Okay, great. Any help that our veterans can get, active or retired, is phenomenal. This here, I know PTSD really kind of hurts these people. It's tough to live with and all that. So again, anything that helps, a good thing here. This reads pretty well. Probably want to go through the PR here. Let's see if we can scan this and see what's going on. Burden of PTSD in the United States has been estimated at $232.2 billion, of which approximately $42.7 billion is attributed directly to the military population. So it seems like there's a decent TAM here to address. Every U.S. service member who comes home carrying the invisible wounds of PTSD and or TBI deserve to be truly seen, not just screened. So it looks like they're making a larger effort here. We believe the ongoing strategic partnership positions us to benefit from the significant and growing U.S. government investment in military brain health. So that's good there. Obviously, the defense budget, hopefully they see some of this. Hopefully the mental health and the physical health of those that serve, there's a priority put on that. Anyway, that's what's going on here. Stocks up 19%. Let me take a quick peek at the short interest on this. See what we got here. 11.55% of the float is shorted. 1 day to cover. So there's some here, but it's not all that much. Looks like it was more recently elevated on the last print. Let's start with the daily and see where we're at. What do we got here? Okay, so the recent move up here in March, this took us up to the 500. This took us up to the 500. We came back. We did try and hold the 200 there, but eventually we broke away from it and found some support here at the 20-day. The interesting part about this is that a 200-day moving average test might be coming here at 205 if we trade back up. See if we can recapture this and then ultimately close above it. Let's say your next resistance area is going to be 250 and then that 284. Let me get that exact value there. That high, 283, excuse me. So I would say 250, 283, your next upside spots there. Really what we're going to have to do here is hold the 20-day moving average. If it drops back down, we might actually end up filling that gap all the way back down to penny stocks. Please increase the main screen and shrink the webcam. Okay, well, that's obviously an insult, Dave. Thanks. Appreciate that. Producer, I think that we have it probably pretty good. I guess it might look a little bit better when we have another camera on there. But sheesh, Dave. Good morning to you, too. Ryan, check Firefly Aerospace as well. Looks like good action yesterday. Is that Firefly Aerospace? This actually looks like a pretty decent support holding of 20, and it looks like we're trying to curl back up from that. Let's see what we're doing here? Okay, so this is good. So we popped yesterday. We've held most of this. It actually looks like we're holding the pre-market low and the intraday low. I would want that to hold. Otherwise, I think we probably could trade back down to the mid 20 handle there, maybe 24s. This looking all right, though. Let's see if there was any fresh news on this or anything. This was from yesterday. Firefly Aerospace supports U.S. Space Force's Victus DIM exercise. Okay, that probably isn't going to make it move a whole lot. But this actually does look pretty good. Again, going back to the chart here and then going back to the daily, sure looks like this is trying to go, right? This does have an interesting chart. We did get our first close above that 200-day moving average. Let's see if we can maybe get back above 34. I would say this is going to complete the gap fill, get us above the recent high. That would be a pretty important level, I would say, next here. Might also get one at 25.5. Let's fly, Firefly Aerospace. Okay, let's see. What else did you folks have? Ugrow was killer. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Let me go back to Ugrow here. Again, this is what the daily chart looks like. Can't really make a whole lot from it. But when we look inside yesterday, so we talked about it in the morning. It actually did have a pretty good move higher here. But the real move came at the end of the day. And this is the stuff that you just can't predict. These are just these wacky moves. This thing was a halt fest. Congrats to anyone. In fact, we'll hand out register rings, belated register rings for this. Congrats to anyone that hit it. Now, I would be careful with this here today because it had that meteoric rise yesterday. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do that again. You do have pretty good range to take a look at now, given the big move that it's had, but we're down almost 19%. We've seen a lot of these movers really kind of come back in after putting in some of these huge moves. The big move, the big easy money probably made here. I think this is probably worth being careful at this point on the Ugrow. Okay. Thanks, Cam. I appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our pre-market pulse. We'll see how 13 is doing here today. All right, 13, good morning. How you doing, man?
I'm having a pretty good morning. Can't complain. How are you? How is everybody in the chat?
I'm doing all right. I was told that I'm not good looking in one way. We've got a request to make our faces smaller here, 13. So our personality and voices is going to have to be bigger to compensate.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there.
All right. We'll speak from our solar plexus then.
Okay, we'll try to do that. 13, what do you want to cover here first? I know looks like there was just a problem with the movers tool. Team is on it here. Let me actually try logging out and logging back in and see if that resolves it. But did you want to look at anything? I know someone was asking about AMD. We could always start there as well.
It doesn't matter where we go. We could start there. We can start with the movers. I'm ready for either one.
Okay, well, let me log in here.
More ready than the movers chart is.
Help me out here, man, while I log in.
All right. What did you want to look at with AMD? Because I think a lot of these tech names are pulling back after the nice day they had yesterday. I think that we were looking at, I mean, we even talked about how AMD, with the run that it's had, might run into some resistance pretty soon as it approaches 227. Also, we've entered a gap to fill that was created from February 3rd to 4th. So that's going to be from about 218 to about 252. Getting a little bit of a weakness this morning, but we are still getting support from the 50-day SMA. That value is at 214.68. So I think we need to hold above that. And if we do, we should see that gap build pretty soon.
I think here's the big thing that I have for AMD, and I don't know that we're necessarily going to know this here today. The 200-day moving average has really been supporting this price from filling this downside gap. If we are unable to resume any strength, or if the market just does not cooperate and all of these tech names take yet another leg back down or want to trade back down, I think we're in big time risk of breaking this 200. And I think if that happens, we're probably filling this gap down to the 170s. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen here, but this would be one of the things I'm looking at if we end up pulling back. This otherwise looks like a pretty good curl here on the daily, doesn't it?
Yeah, but just need to see this this price hold above the 50-day SMA. And I understand what you're talking about with the gap fill back from October 3rd to the 6th, that whole weekend with the gap fill. We kind of got into the middle of it and really didn't finish because we got support from the highs in August. So and the 200-day SMA. So if we start trending towards that area again, we can certainly look at, let's say we do end up losing 200, I would be keeping an eye on what happens around 180, even though we could fill the gap all the way, but it could end up being a situation where we fill that gap and then reverse right after we do and start trading back up. So, if we even get there, that's what we can, explore. But for now, I just want to see the price hold above the 50-day SMA.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. AMD is just under a huge gap fill opportunity, which is 215.5 to 235-ish. That's the other thing, and this is what we talked about yesterday.
That's what I just talked about from the 3rd to the 4th of February. That's the
absolutely. Gap. And here it is. So sorry, I wasn't, when you were talking about it, I didn't mark it on the chart. Here it is on the chart. So, I mean, look, we're gonna have a gap fill one way or another. We'll see if this can hold on. I talked a little bit earlier before you got on here, 13, about seasonality and how really the first couple of weeks in April, you might still continue to be weak. So we'll see if AMD and some of these other tech stocks can actually hold up instead of breaking back down. It's a good point about the gap fill here to the upside. We'll see which one we get. Okay. What?
Should we look at movers? Get this out of the way.
What do you know what they are? I'm sorry, it doesn't look like it's resolved yet. They're on it though. I see the team working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I still was able to. I mean, use the scanner to find them. So
all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna stay on the big chart. Okay. You feed me the tickers, and we'll go through them that way.
All right, Big Hurt, you ready? Big Hurt. All right, here we go. FCHL.
FCHL.
It looks like he was already trading that one. And I know it doesn't look great on the daily chart, but intraday it's had a little bit more price action. Let me just pull this one back up. So this, I don't know if you want to read the news. If you want to go ahead and do your bit there. Okay, there it is.
What's going on with this one?
Well, they had some.
What news?
I don't think they had necessarily news, but it was like from yesterday. They were proposing an offering, and that tanked the stock, and it's already been going down a lot. So I think what we're having here is just a rebound after the offering. The company.
Listen to that. Fitness Champs announced an $18 million offering of up to 6 million units at $3, with warrants carrying a 0 exercise price.
So that's the news that went down on.
Okay.
And
Fitness chumps.
Well, it's interesting because the two that top movers were actually in a bit of an education sector. This being in private education out of Singapore. We'll get to the next one, but this one I think we're seeing a rebound after the offering. The company's been going through compliance issues with their bid deficiency. So they had to do a reverse split. They just did that earlier this week on the 23rd. And then they, did the offering. As these whole compliance, regaining compliance, this is all the motions we've seen before. They reverse split their stock, they capital raise, and then they regain compliance. So that's just what this company's doing. Yeah, and that's really all I've got on this one. The 6.17 million shares in the float. Don't know how great this one's going to be. It looks like all the move with this one happened in the after hours. We are trading beneath the VWAP right now after trading above it for about almost an hour this morning. So unless we can recapture the VWAP, I don't know if there's going to be a trade here. It might provide something, but maybe that doesn't happen until after we open.
Okay. The chat. Maybe I got off easy earlier. Chat's a little bit spicy here. Thinking about it, said fitness chumps. Whist just said straight up trash.
Yeah, it probably is.
just straight up trash. Bernhard, appreciate the insight there on the reverse split from January 15th. Okay, so we'll see if fitness chumps. I'm gonna keep calling it that just because it makes me chuckle so much. We'll see if fitness chumps ends up getting a move here today. I see kind of a nasty downtrend here on the 5-minute chart. We'll see if we can pop above any of these levels.
Morning, Jay. Good news with that too is that it broke out of that 3 year.
I'm just going to go to this. Since you're talking about it, I'm just going to go to IRDM. Here you go.
And now we're facing a gap fill from July.
And that's up to about 32-ish.
It takes it almost to a little bit under 32. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is looking, and we have a golden cross that just happened earlier this month. I mean, this is one of the really good space names that I like. That pays a dividend. We'll see what happens after we fill the gap. Might get some pullback, but we're in the consolidation that has been going on since 2024.
Okay. IRDM. Jay, are you long this? What targets do you have on IRDM?
I believe he is. He's been talking about this one. We've talked back and forth. I think he's long this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking 35, 40. Let me know. Jacob says, good morning. Seems like a slow day. Good morning to you, Jacob. Indeed, as far as some of like the movers and news and stuff that's moving around, it definitely does seem a little bit slower here.
It'll be a slow week.
Yeah.
It's been a slow week.
And then 13, I mentioned this earlier before you hopped on. We have Good Friday next week. So we're actually going to have a truncated week next week with the market being closed on Friday. We obviously won't have a show on Friday. You have any thoughts about how that week might shake out? Or I guess the reason I'm asking today is because maybe people position for that today and tomorrow.
So we're going to get inflows. I'm pretty sure NVIDIA pays their dividend on the 1st. And it's a BS dividend, but I think that's when they pay it. I'm trying to think of all the things happening between now and then, because
inflows is a good one. That's a good mention.
I'm just trying to think of all the things that are happening between now and then. And those are the first two that come to mind. There's probably something that I'm just not thinking about, and it could happen over the weekend, as a lot of things have. But I can't, put any one event to my mind about what's going to drive markets right now. So,
okay,
that's all I got.
Okay, all right. Let me take this here real quick. We'll do Ondas here. Apparently, there's some news about an offering, so let's take a look here. And I also want to address WorkLife's comment here about Ondas just doing a share offering and the price hasn't dropped. Well, they are down 2.5%. Now, I guess you could make the argument that they're, down with the broader market. This is what the intraday chart looks like. I'm sorry about the shading. That's not populating here. Okay. Ondas files a secondary offering of 1.926 million common shares. So the question here is, what is the criteria of offerings that cause a stock to drop versus not drop?
Oh, the short answer is it depends.
The short answer is it depends, but let me give you a little bit more here, and this absolutely applies to Ondas.
Yeah.
Why are you doing the offering? Did your stock go up by 600%, and you're just trying to take advantage by selling into that? What are those funds going to do? In the case of Ondas, we know why they're raising money. We heard from the CEO. He told us directly that one of his main goals is not just to produce these little drones that fly around, but actually to build a technology company or have a technology stack within the company that allows it to do many different things. You're going to need money to fund that. On top of him telling us that, we actually saw that in practice. We saw Ondas go out and add companies to its portfolio to help its drone and counter drone and UAS drone production. So he told us this is why we're doing this. Then we actually saw that happen in the market. So I suspect then, and especially because we have this gigantic drone theme going on right now, we've got a conflict in Ukraine where drones are being used. We have a conflict in the Middle East where drones are being used. And it's very, very clear that this is becoming like a new age of warfare. On top of that, We have government officials saying drone production is going to increase. This is the new wave, this, that, and the other thing. So there's a backdrop here. And in this case, these offerings, they make sense, right? They need more money to expand how many drones they're producing. That's ultimately going to help them bleed money down to the bottom line. That's going to help earnings. And also they're acquiring companies. So my suspicion here, and this is just my gut feeling to answer your question, my suspicion here is that the market looks at this and they say, okay, they're doing an offering, but we kind of know where these funds are going. And as long as that continues, it should actually be good for the company long term. The market is going to be more willing to look through that offering. If it's a stock, and I'm just making something up, I am not referencing or slandering anybody. If there's a company that used to do Bitcoin mining, that all of a sudden changes to AI inference and power generation or something just to kind of keep with the trend, and the stock pops on some flaky headline, and then they do an offering into this, do you really know what they're doing with those funds? Maybe that's just kind of an off-ramp for people at the company. It seems like if the story is feasible, the market is going to be willing to look through some of these things. And I think that's the case with Ondas. Zach here saying all the Ondas offerings have been gulped up, at least up to now. Zach, we can't predict the future. I asked my 8-ball to do it. It gets it wrong sometimes. It's just how it goes. But you're absolutely right here. The funds are clearly being used for growing the company, and the market likes that. So the short answer, as 13 said, it depends. But in this case, I think there's something very specific that we can point at. It might not be easy to figure out if it's legitimate or not. Like the company might say, well, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing, and then never do it. In the case of this particular stock, we've actually seen some of that. Anything that you want to add to that, 13?
Lots. So basically,
let's go. I love it.
Basically, we cover a lot of these names every day and they typically are names that are in biotechs, or they're these sometimes they're foreign companies, or they're companies that are just not operating very well, and they need more capital. And when you see the way that these companies are working and they're doing business, you already have a sense of where that money's going. In the sense of a company that's needing to regain NASDAQ compliance by doing an offering, that's just not something you want to be in, because the company's already in trouble, and they're basically taking people's money so that they can spend it on themselves and whatever it is they're doing that's their money losing business. You get a sense of where that capital's headed. It's essentially headed down the toilet. And when it comes to, I mean, that's more or less how
you're not wrong.
Happens.
You're not wrong at all.
When it comes to biotech, you know exactly where that money's going. It's going right to research. And biotechs typically, in a lot of cases, they do not have revenue. So when you see a zero revenue company that's raising capital, you kind of get a sense of where that money's going. It's going right, I don't want to say down the toilet, it's going into research, but that research is being done in the form of like clinical trials and drug development. It's a pricey endeavor with no return, and the only return that you typically get is data. And if that data is not good, then all that money that you spent is now down the toilet. In the case of Ondas, where they're not needing to regain NASDAQ compliance, they are doing research, but they also have revenue, and they are also trying to expand, as Ryan was touching on. That's a business that is trying to grow, and they cannot rely upon traditional banking and lending to fuel that rapid expansion, because it takes too long. So the quickest and easiest way to do it is to raise capital by the issuance of more shares. So it's also a very, very quick way to access capital, and that's what you're seeing here with Ondas compared to some of the other names that we were looking at, where they're just trying to raise capital to keep their research going or to stay in business.
Yeah, it's spot on, 13. Really great addition there. Just to kind of steel man one of the points that you were making, if we look at the revenue, the historical revenue here from Ondas, at the earnings that was announced in the fall of 2024, they put up 1.48 million in revenue. The next report, they put up 4.13. The next report after that, 4.25. then 6.27, then 10, now 30. So very clearly here, they're trying to grow. They're trying to add things to the portfolio to then increase the bottom line and the value of the company. So this was, I just happened to have this pulled up, 13. This is a really good example of what you were talking about. Work life, this is a great question. I hope that that's helpful. I hope that that was helpful to not only you, but anyone else.
Yeah. And if you are not sure about a company and you're looking to invest into it, it really does serve you very well to read those SEC forms. They tell you a lot of what the company is planning to do with capital they are raising, or they're if they're restructuring their business. If you're looking at a company, you're not sure they're going to do an offering or what this or that, read those SEC forms. It's very, very helpful.
And don't be intimidated by the SEC form itself. If you don't know what all of these different things mean and they read like dry, ununderstandable pieces of writing or whatever, run it through AI. Have AI help you. At least get an idea of what the company's trying to do. Okay. Good discussion. Sorry about the digression there, but good discussion. What other stocks do we want to take a look at? You guys are mentioning Vuzi.
Well, that's a Vuzix, V-U-Z-I. I haven't seen that one on the chat yet because I've been talking. But Big Hertz mentioning one of the other movers that I was looking at, EEIQ. This one also in kind of the education theme, like FCHL was, but I think it's moving for a different reason. It's interestingly, this one also is kind of going through a little bit of, I don't think it's compliance. I'm not sure if they got a notice or not, but they just did a 1 for 16 reverse split. They're going to need cash. So now that they've done the reverse split, their share structure is down to 859,000 shares in the float. So this one could be a company that might raise capital soon. If you're going to try and trade this, I know Big Hurt, you're doing it. If you're going to trade this one, just understand that there's more of a risk here with this one raising some capital than some other names. FCHL, we already know that they're going to be raising cash. They've already mentioned that, and the stock's already adjusted to that. So be careful with EEIQ. Very low float. Could see a big breakout over VWAP like it's trying to do right now. But just keep that in mind that the company does need cash.
Okay. EEIQ. Did we have any levels for this? This is what it looks like inside intraday.
Got to get above that VWAP. That's the big resistance that it's dealing with right now.
And that's 539. Yep.
And it's been pretty much the resistance level ever since we had the impulse move. We came back beneath that, have not been able to meaningfully recapture VWAP and hold above it.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. EEIQ. Okay. What's next here, 13?
The other one I looked at today was KOD.
Okay. I was going to say, pick one, go at it. Here's what the intraday chart looks like. This actually doesn't look bad at all. We have news here. Kodiak Sciences are trading higher after the company's top line results in its GLOW2 phase 3 superiority study of Zenkuda for the treatment of patients with diabetic retinopathy. Okay, so here's what the intraday chart looks like. Here's what the daily chart looks like. 13, I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. I'll be right back. Go off.
Sounds good. So this company reported their phase 3 GLOW2 superiority study of Zenkuda. And the company has some pretty elevated short interest. I think we're seeing a little bit of that play out here today. 17.26% of the float is shorted, 14.8 days to cover. That's because the float's a little bit more elevated than some of the other ones we were just looking at here. 40 million shares in the float. Larger than we'd like to see, but still not too large where we couldn't see some good trading out of it, especially when you have a high short interest like we do. The company does have cash, and they did a $148 million private placement public offering in December. So I don't think they're needing to raise capital at this point. Interestingly, right after that happened, you had one of the directors, a 10% holder plus holder of this company, ended up buying 2.6 million shares of this company. So he might know something. Maybe it was this news he was waiting for. I don't know. But anyway, the company also got a $38 price target raise in February from H.C. Wainwright and Company. We just hit that this morning. As a matter of fact, we just hit that I think about 25 minutes ago, like right to the T. I don't know if that's going to mark as high as we go here today, but that was the price target, and we are kind of struggling right now to get back up there. I don't know if we'll see higher prints than that. If we are above the VWAP, as long as we hold above that, it's certainly possible. But that's what I've got here for KOD.
Okay, good timing, I guess. There, 13. Good breakdown. I'm just going to assume that it went well. All right.
Well, we'll find out because, like I was just saying, 38 was the price target from H.C. Wainwright and Company back in February 10th, and we just hit that this morning, about 25 minutes ago. So we'll see if that is as high as we go, or if we're going to push higher after we open.
All right, and looking at the intraday chart here, there are some pretty small fair value gaps right down here, about 33.60. And then also there's another one right in here. Let me actually get that value there for you. Top end of that one is 35. Bottom end of that is 34.40. So that's actually a pretty decent fair value gap. That actually lines up nicely with the 20 simple moving average on the intraday chart. And we'll see if that ends up holding up there.
Uh-oh, you just lose Ryan there. Oh, there he is.
Yep. No, that's just the internet doing its thing here. Okay. So KOD, we'll see if we get a trade there. I'll keep that one on watch.
It's kind of interesting. I'm looking at KOD and I don't know if how I want to describe the pattern here. Kind of looks like on a large time frame, like a weekly or monthly chart, we just broke out of a bit of a bull flag. I just it looks a little weird to me, but it kind of seems like we had hit that high of 31 and then kind of drifted down for 3 months, and then we just got the news that sent us into new 52-week highs. Very interesting price action here. Okay.
We'll see what we get here on Kodiak Science. All right, we got 6 minutes till we open here. What do you guys want to do next? Retro saying, will we ever get 2 green openings in a row? What a yo-yo. Look, this is one of the reasons why there's sometimes just not a lot of activity, right? If you're a swing trader, you're trying to trade a trend, and the trend every day is telling you one day we're up, one day we're down, up, down. I mean, that's just wait it out, right? Just wait it out. That's what you're seeing, I think, in some of this. KOD trading to the highs.
Last time that we had 2 green days in a row was March 3rd and 4th, so it's been a minute. Also, Ryan, yesterday we talked about how since we lost the 200-day SMA, the price has been compressing. We may open outside of that compression.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I covered here. So let me ask you then. So this is good. Let's kind of review the chart. Let's get your opinion on it. One of the things, I'll tell you where I started earlier. One of the things that we're looking at, obviously, this recent low here, right? But if we crack that, might we be making our way towards that 10% pullback level? And if so, what other levels do you have in here? I was thinking maybe the 642-ish previous consolidation area, maybe down to like 635.
There might be some back and forth there. Ultimately, I think that we are going to see a 10 to 14% correction. I have more confidence about the destination than I do the journey. if that makes any sense. So I think that we're still going to see the 10 to 14% correction. I just don't know how it's going to look to get there. Fair. And as we approach these different areas of support, and if we come back up resistance, then we can, identify how that's going to look. But, I ultimately think that we're going to see all this downward price action we've been getting this month ultimately result in some kind of a correction.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. At this point, I'm kind of waiting out that move down. We get this question often, and I'm just going to say the same thing here. HD Hood says, do you happen to know how wash sale rules affected your taxes? Just a question. So wash sales is one of those complicated rules about buying and selling the same stock within a 30-day period. It is applicable on stocks, not applicable on some ETFs. Here's my best piece of advice for you if you're worried about something like that. Have somebody do your taxes for you. Instead of trying to learn all the different tax things, I just paid someone to do it for me. That's worked for me. That's literally the best piece of advice I can give you. I am not a tax expert. You do not want to take tax advice from me, believe me. Pay a professional, and they'll be able to kind of instruct you. There's also options like becoming a mark-to-market, making the mark-to-market election so that you're not susceptible to wash sale rules. That's different for every trader, their balance, how they trade, all of that stuff. Consult a professional. If there's anyone else out here that does have some tips or some experiences that you went through, please share it. The only thing that I feel comfortable recommending, talk to a tax professional. Taxes are confusing. Or a fiduciary.
Yeah. Someone that's going to be in your corner helping you manage your trades. They'll be the ones that can be like, okay, you did buy this, you did sell this one like such days ago. So if you bought it now, you eliminate, you violate the wash sale rule. They'll be the ones that can tell you when it's okay to do that and when it's not, if you aren't keeping track of it. Yeah. But how it affects your taxes, I mean, if you break the rule, then you're going to be paying more. That's how it affects it.
Yeah, and so the noob here, basically, you can't claim losses from a wash sale on the first trade. HD says your tax guy says avoid it. It's much easier if you avoid it. You don't get that surprise when you're actually filling out your taxes. Mm-hmm. So I think that's good. This is one of the reasons why we look at a whole bunch of different things here. One of the reasons why I'm encouraging things. Or why I'm encouraging bringing different ideas here, different stocks to trade, and all of that. It's a good question. It's just not our wheelhouse. So again, I just kind of default to stick to the professional. They're going to be much more of a help. Okay, really quickly here, Cat and Saddle. We're going to do it real quick. We're going to start with Saddle here, 13. We've got to move fast here because we're less than a minute. Here's Saddle Logic. This is what the daily chart looks like. This is a break above the recent highs. This looks amazing. Huge volume here. Let's see what we're doing here today. Oh, we're still inside that candle here from yesterday. It's down 7% after being up 15.5%. You got any thoughts on Saddle Logic?
Probably just very extended. Needs to come back in. We breached 80 on the RSI yesterday. We also hit a bit of a resistance area back from 2022. This area of $7 was acting as support and resistance. We got less than 10 seconds. So it's probably going to take a lot more volume in order to get through 7. But I think we need to pull back here and maybe consolidate for a bit.
Reggie, I owe you a breakdown on CAT. We'll do that here in a sec. Let's just get through the opening print.
Okay, let's see what we got here. We go in 5 minutes. So right out of the gate here, we're getting a little whipping around with KOD. EEIQ is looking a little bit weak, still unable to get above the VWAP, and FCHL has already been weakening into the open here. There's a seller walking it down right now.
Okay. Open here, it looks like the first move on the broader market. Yeah, NASDAQ and SPY, first move here is down. We'll see if that firms up anywhere. I would say watch 650. We kind of double bottom there in the pre-market here today. Not saying for sure it's going to hold, but that would be a level to watch.
One from yesterday, it's not up a whole lot, but seeing some pretty interesting movement. BRZE, this went about $1 out of the gate. Just before the open, I mean. Let's see here. We were like at what, 21, almost 21.40, and we went up to 22.31, just like that. Yep. Very, very spread. So be careful there.
NEXT, this is next decade. This is ripping out of the gate. This is actually above the pre-market high. This is moving on volume.
EEIQ just made another attempt to try and go over VWAP. It failed.
Here's MBOT, thinking about it, mentioning MBOT here. This was thinking about it. This is nice, man. We had a nice little move in the pre-market there. We've so far bouncing off of VWAP. Wait, maybe 278. We'll pop the top on that.
That looks like this could go higher, a little bit higher. Like we could see that 278 again. Come on, volume.
Yeah, and I'm looking around here. I was wondering, I was like, is the scanner not working too? Scanner is clearly working. I'm looking around at the rest of the broker here. There really is not a whole lot here.
No.
This is at 27.
SATL, that was getting mentioned here. We opened lower, still trying to push up. There's going to be resistance at 7. Let's keep that in mind. And we are now at 82 RSI. So SATL, as great as this move is, just be careful with this because it is pretty extended.
Okay, market is trying to bounce here. We'll see if this is a legit one.
Feed spike down. So would we call this regurgitate now? And it's doing the opposite. It's kind of coming down to some of the support area from a couple days ago. If you look at a 5-minute chart and try to have the entirety of the week actually on a 5-minute chart, you can see the price has come down and starting to get some support from the sideways price action we were getting on, what was this, Tuesday?
Tuesday, yep.
Yeah. So we might see if this comes down to 230, that, or maybe somewhere between 230 and 220, that might be a good support area. We'll see if that ends up happening.
Ondas did pull out of the open. That's on the back of that offering. We see that a lot. I'm more concerned about where it closes. If it gets pounded all day, that's one thing. But if this bounces mid-morning or in the afternoon, that's another. All right. What? I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
This one from, I think it was yesterday, BZAI. This is roaring right now.
BZAI, huh?
Blaze Holdings. Yeah. Oh, hey, Kathy is seeing it too. Yeah, I don't know, Sniper. It's as many as it takes to expand their business, I guess. Banks are just too slow for them.
That's also one of the things that I was pointing out versus the last earnings report. It's good on the surface. It's still a small cap speculative play, and clearly, as outlined by the CEO himself, I'm assuming you're referring to Ondas. They're going to need cash, research and development, buying other companies, operations, expanding production. All of those things require cash.
And
I know it's frustrating, but that's definitely one of the things that you deal with holding small caps for a long period of time.
Anna hit a new high.
Anna, are you okay? Are you okay, Anna?
Anna's fine. She's just fine.
Okay, that's actually popping above the Tuesday's highs there. Looks like 9 might be coming here. Rooster also mentioning AIFF, Firefly Neuroscience, which we talked earlier. That is going. That was a nice push above the VWAP, up towards the 240 highs.
It looks like DXYZ.
Nice job, Jim.
DXYZ is trying to recover from the weakness it was having in the pre-market here. It ran up to 34 in the pre-market, started fading, was underneath 32 by the time that we started approaching the open here, and now we dipped down and blasted off. So we're trying to get back above, what is this, 33 right now?
KOD came back into its VWAP.
Yep, KOD is back in its VWAP. EEIQ trying to push over VWAP again. Don't know if this is going to be the move it needs, but it's trying to get up there. Don't know if we're going to see this get sold into again, like it and push back beneath VWAP like it did with the last candle. And what else is happening here?
I'm seeing some other Twitter traders also mention how it seems slow.
Swarmer, this recent IPO is also up today. SWMR, 13.7%, hitting 36.50.
Okay, that's actually a pretty nice move.
Okay, I think we're still trying to see EEIQ make the move. I think it's starting to do it now. It's still running into some sellers. There it is.
Jay mentioning Fastly, which has been another kind of a good mover recently. Here's what Fastly looks like. Big pop here, right up to that $31 resistance area.
And it's through 6 now, EEIQ. This is getting going here. Might run into some resistance at 650. And we're actually going to trading into a halt right now. Big hurt.
On which one? Sorry, EEIQ?
Yep. Big Hurt. I know you got this one. And
so Bourne saying defense is weak. I wonder if they made a deal with Iran. So the only thing that I've seen come out is that Iran officially responded to the 15-point proposal, but I haven't seen anything about a official deal or anything like that.
I mean, in the
I have a feeling Brent's workday is going to be done here pretty soon.
The response could be FU. So
yeah,
there's always that. BRZE, this one I think from yesterday as well, having a nice morning, as is BZAI, although we just hit 145 and we're kind of backing off right now. Anna, same thing. So we just had initial pop in a lot of these names. They're backing off for the moment. And that's some of these other names here. Oh my goodness.
What's up?
Sorry, I was just looking at Clear Secure. That just went. Yeah, it just went up to 56.51, and anyway.
13. I'm giving you a register ring for this. I don't know if I've officially done it yet.
You have.
It was such a good call.
You have. Thank you. You have, but it's.
But I'll take the other one. Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right. Really quick, I owed Reggie, excuse me, a breakdown here of CAT. This is a stock I know a lot of you folks were following here. Well, it seems a bit slow here, so we'll take a look at this. CAT's actually down 1.5%, but so far it's doing its best to hold its 50-day. I would say even a move beneath the 50-day, not something to panic from. We've seen that we've done that a couple of times and very quickly recaptured it. What would be great if we could close above this 20-day moving average? Better still, if we could close above the 627. This was the high from Wednesday. I mean, it would really have to turn around to do that. So far, though, with this move down, it looks like it's finding some support here at 705. RSI is pretty much in no man's land here. This looks like it's just kind of in a sideways formation here. I would imagine if we break through this 50, probably go test the 100.
Oh, I don't have the 100 on here. Let me look at a different chart. I mean, to me, it still looks like it could be a bit weak. I'm not a buyer up here. This thing has gone on a fantastic run since last year. What was the high we hit? Almost 800, and this whole run started from about 275. Yeah, I don't want to be a buyer up here, but if we do come in some more, I see support. I guess there's some support around 248. Let me see if there's some even lower, because I want this to come in some more. Maybe 475. There's a better opportunity, because the 20-month SMA is down around 457, and on the monthly chart it's still very extended. So I think I'd want to see this come in some more. 600 looks like it has some great potential for support. But I don't think I'd even want to get it there. I think I'd want this to come underneath 500 before I'd be interested in it.
Okay,
I don't even know if we'll get that.
Sorry to quickly change, Reggie. Hopefully that was helpful for you. COD here, great hold of that VWAP. We traded right back up to the resistance area and stopped there. Don't know if it's going to make it through, but that was a pretty nice move right there on COD. Register ring to anyone that took that. AOD. That was a good setup there, 13.
That was a great move. That coming down to the VWAP and rebounding. Grass
held
anybody
it
that took that. Yeah.
And it gave, I took a little bit of this. It gave you a little bit of time to hold on to that and have like a pretty tight stop there. This ended up going back. Maybe it goes higher. If it does, I won't be present for it.
Yeah, I still don't know if we're going to see a whole lot more movement up above 38. That's still kind of the resistance I'm seeing, but maybe the volume does kick up and we see him move through that.
Here's prop. Joe saying, watch prop. They had a bigger pop overnight. The news is that their potentially dilutive F warrants are being renegotiated and will be resolved by April 7th. Prop. Okay, so that would be good news there. We'll see if the market continues to reward this. This popped a little bit, but I'd like to see this get above 215. Market might be trying to bounce here. Let me know if any of you trust it.
Let's see. When did EEI?
Some individual names are bouncing. Bitcoin hasn't yet.
Okay, let's not not telling me. When do you have the time that EEIQ halted?
Let's see if it's in here. EEIQ. No, I do not. Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. We just opened. And Big Hurt, I think you just got filled.
I love that laugh so much.
Yeah, this thing opened. Sellers getting or people with stops getting taken out. And now we're roaring higher. It looks like it's coming up to 7.
Michael says, I asked if you trust this pop. Michael says, I wouldn't trust this market with your money, Ryan. You know what? I'm going to say I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You're not going to go out and bankrupt me there. I think I'm kind of with you there. I do have a buy signal here on the SPY for my zero DTE study that flags entry and exit points, but they've been kind of shaky the last couple of days. So we shall see. Selena would like to see 649.30 on the SPY. Would you like to see that hold for a bounce?
Hey,
and grats, Brent, on EEIQ. That was really good stuff there.
And Big Hurt. Yeah. Oh, well, indeed, because, you killed it. You had a great trade there and you protected yourself. Is it going higher? Sure. But you know what? You had a great trade. Oh, well, indeed. I like it. And now here we are. We just hit 7. Man, this thing is rip roaring past 7 now. Hitting a high of, what is it, 746? 881 is the high in the pre-market. Don't know if we'll see that, but it's not too far away now.
COD still up at the highs. We got robots killer. Got some people making it on EEIQ. Love it here. That continues to push higher. 8's coming now.
Jeez.
Look at that move. EEIQ. I'm not in this one, unfortunately. Good stuff to the group there, though.
Now, folks, remember, this is the one. They just did the reverse split.
Thank you, 13.
For 16. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up because I think this is going to be important. They did the reverse split back in February, so they've got the low float. That's why we're seeing this wild price action. Company still needs cash. This is a pretty good opportunity for them to raise. So just don't get caught in this. Make sure you've got your stop set in case they decide to hit us with an offering.
Hey, Joe, Ryan, I got some SPY calls at 651, saw a similar signal, and I'll tell you what, so maybe I was wrong to say we didn't trust it here, but wow. The nice bounce here on the SPY. There wasn't news for this, was there? My feeds, I'll be honest with you, I might be a little slow here. My feeds are full of folks excited for opening day. Yeah, the only thing I have here with the conflict, the most recent thing I have here is Tehran awaits response from the U.S. That's according to Tasnim.
We're in such a propaganda battle. I don't even know if it's really worth keeping a close eye on what happens out of there because it may be BS. So I unless we get something concrete, I'm not really focused on the news coming out from either side regarding Iran because we're in a propaganda conflict too. Yeah, see, Tom, that's what I was kind of saying here is that this company still needs cash. The next halt could be one we don't want, and to make sure that people had their stops set, and if they did, I mean, they've already probably got stopped out because this thing started to come back in towards 7 after hitting what is this 830? 828.
By the way, 13. I know we use the scanner now, but the movers, whatever hiccup was in there, has been resolved, and that's working. Tom saying, "Be careful with the EIQ. The next halt could be for news that we do not want to hear." Right. And this SPY bounce continuing to go. Okay, anyone that was in SPY, I did not hit that one, unfortunately. But anyone that was in SPY calls there, you got a nice rip there on that bounce. I don't know if this is going to hold and continue, but we are above the VWAP on the SPY. We're also above the VWAP on the futures. Ondas back at 10. You're right on that, Zach.
BZAI might be putting in a bull pennant here. Just looking around and seeing what some of these names are doing. MBOT might also have some kind of a bull flag. I'm a little concerned about this one because the momentum seems to be kind of rolling over to the downside, but we'll just see what this does. If it can hold above, let's say 265. It's looking like a lot of sellers are starting to stack up in this thing.
Brent, really good outlook there. Green is green. You made back your money from yesterday. Didn't let it get to you. Came back, rearing to go, got it back. That's what we like to see. Really good stuff there, Brent. Really good stuff from you this week.
KOD broke that high that I was concerned about, and now it's using it as support. 38.93 now the current high.
AIFF, there were a number of folks on this one earlier. This did pop that new high and came back in. Might not be done. Still holding above the VWAP. Yeah.
Anna.
So JJ, we did talk about this. One of the things that I highlighted here is that what I like to see about this is that the really big move that it seemed like folks profited from yesterday happened when we weren't on. So we set this up for you. Well, we kind of talked about it earlier in the morning, but it was the group's own trading that actually allowed them to make those gains on that. This is operated as an integrated professional services and design build firm offering architectural, engineering, and construction management solutions to the CEA, industrial, healthcare, and other commercial sectors. Captain Cloudy says we might have seen the low and is up 120% on the 0 DTE calls. We got a big pump here. This is the multiple hundreds of percent there. And then Canarp is asking Ryan, all investors, asking the group here, is there anything to buy and hold for the next 2 to 5 years? Thanks. So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Yes, there's plenty. And 13 has talked a lot about shopping lists and have those ready and look at those. And I would say probably everything on those shopping lists is worth that. But I think one of the big things that we're all kind of navigating right now is a lot of us seem to think that there's a pullback coming here, and doesn't necessarily make sense to load that for the next 2 to 5 years until you see that pullback. So I'm not really buying anything at the moment. I'll let you know when things change. But Selena here, div earners, that I've added a little bit to my Starwood position. Haven't done that today, but have done that recently. So good stocks with good balance sheets. That's the thing to own for the next 2 to 5 years. Dollar cost average is something that we've talked about on some of these better companies. But I'm still in the camp. I think we do probably pull back, and that's when I'll be looking to deploy more capital for that longer term.
Yes, there is a lot of things that you could buy and hold for the next 2 to 5 years. I'd be looking more at ones that pay a dividend if you're going to hold that long. Some value plays. There's some really good REITs in there. Utility names also. I think with how we're needing to build out our electrical grid and energy infrastructure in the United States, a lot of energy names might be really good for the next 2 to 5 years. So there's a good list of names that'll be good and themes that'll be good for the next 2 to 5 years. It's just about pricing for me. I don't necessarily think that I want to be paying the premiums that we'd be paying right now if we started jumping in. I want things on pullbacks and when they're weak.
Well said.
Looks like BZAI is slowly trying to push up towards 150. Not sure if that's going to be great.
Which one? Sorry.
I was looking at what was that? BZAI. EEIQ is trying to push higher now, trying to recapture 8 and test the pre-market high. Looks like we almost did. Got up to 873. The pre-market high is 881. It'd be interesting if we ended up going up near there and starting to see a pullback for about 15, 30 minutes or so and create a cup with handle. That'd be interesting to see, but I don't want to predict what kind of price action we're getting here with this low float mover.
Micron here, this actually down about 4% right out of the gate. Trying to bounce here. We'll see if it firms up. SPY actually still looks pretty constructive, and the NASDAQ looks like it wants to push higher.
Lots of recovery. I mean, DXYZ went down to the 200 EMA, got support there, and has turned around and recaptured all of the moving averages, including VWAP. And now getting the pull here in EEIQ. It's one you got to be careful with.
SPY marching higher here. I'll tell you what, that 0 DTE trade, that's the trade of the day. Forget some of these movers.
And the movers have been pretty good, but yeah, that 0 DTE looks like that's the best one right now.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, 13, because it looked like maybe they weren't going to be that good initially, but we did end up getting some pretty decent moves here. COD, EEIQ. So definitely some stuff to do here.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see the price and the SPY kind of rise back up to like the 654 to 655 area and then sell the rest of the day. Because this is trying to re-enter that compression area that we talked about yesterday. It's still outside of it. We can't re-enter it, then I think we're going lower. All out of his position, Captain Cloudy.
Yep, and he was scalping 0 DTEs. You got those gains booked. Well done, Captain Cloudy. Register ring for you. Joe giving you the opposite side of that. 0 DTE SPY puts. If we get to 657, I'm thinking 654, even a little bit skittish there. Okay. So it looks like you'd be, if we continue to trade up, you'd be looking to kind of sell that pop, which I totally get. I might buy the pullback, but not sure. Captain Cloudy, keep me posted on that. We'll see if we get that. It did actually, and these 0 DT, I'm looking at the 655 calls. Those actually might set a new high right here. It's been a really good bounce right out of the open here.
Anna getting absolutely hammered now after hitting 895. Now trading down and getting support from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Some other names that we're just seeing that are moving here this morning. We already mentioned AIFF, but SUNE from earlier this week is up 15%. And AIRS, AIRS, it's not up 5% yet, but this has been getting some pretty good movement out of the gate. It went up, consolidated, and went higher. Seeing a lot sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You're totally fine here. A Chicago Realtor, good morning. It's great to see you as always as well. Is anyone having issues logging into the Thinkorswim platform? So I logged in early this morning. I think it was actually 5:58 a.m. Central Time, so 6:58 Eastern. I didn't have any trouble logging in, but I have not tried recently, so I guess I don't know.
Okay, this is interesting. We're getting a request by CJ Strategies to look at MKDW. This is having a pretty good morning.
22% almost.
Mm-hmm.
Says been in this for 2 days, so this is a pretty good pop. Then you must be doing pretty well on this. What's the target? Oh my God, you're up over 100%.
Yeah, so I don't see any recent news. The most recent news that it had was from March 2nd, and that was when it regained NASDAQ compliance. Let me look at some other stuff here, and I'll get back to you on that one. But nice to see that, geez, this thing has been just an absolute rocket lately. Let's see, you said you've been holding it for the past couple of days. So did you buy it on Tuesday? Because if you did, yeah, you're well over 100%.
I mean, so you're looking for an exit. So first thing here, when I have an equity move that quick, definitely going to peel at least half. I would personally do that right here. Really quick, yeah. MDK or MKD Well Tech is a company engaged in supplying automotive electronics for passenger cars, modified commercial vehicles, camper vans, and logistics vehicles.
And I think because we may be seeing some kind of chip shortage, that it could lead to some higher prices from these companies. So that'd be something to consider there. Now, looking at the chart with this, we are in a consolidation area, and it looks like $7 has been a resistance area ever since the price lost that level in June last year. It has not been able to recapture it. So, yeah. Maybe it's not a bad idea to start taking profit at this area. I don't know how high this is going to go, but just looking at the chart, the daily chart, $7 is a very standout area of resistance. So use that information. We're also very overbought. Daily RSI is 84, almost 85. So I think there's a lot of signals that that indicate that you should be at least maybe paying yourself a little bit, if not taking your gains off the table. But that's all up to you. You have to decide with what you're going to do with this. But it's looking like it's coming up into some resistance.
And thanks, chat, for the input here for Chicago Realtor, Voodoo, Tom, Retro, Ed Edwards. Thank you very much for the insight there. It looks like nobody's really having a problem logging in. So Chicago Realtor, that might be something to reach out about, or something specific to you, maybe a VPN issue. You use that?
Just keeping an eye on MBOT. We didn't, we were starting to look like the MACD was going to tell us that we're going to break down to the 65 EMA. Haven't had that happen. We've actually recaptured the VWAP. Very low volume right now, but we've come back up. I'm just keeping an eye on it to see if we end up resolving this, what looks to me like a bull flag. Noodles and Company having a day.
I forgot what their ticker is.
EEIQ.
And NDLS is Noodles and Company. Did have a nice pop here. That is you're right, for 47%. My gosh, what's the news here? Okay, so they had earnings last night, and it looks like they had a nice healthy beat and a guidance above estimates. That's a healthy guide there.
Yeah, Big Hurt, I'm watching EIQ as well. It's trying to get above the last candle high of 873. Running into some problems there. Still a bit of some sellers in the way up in the that region of 870.
That's okay, Dan. I get songs stuck in my head all the time. I don't know what's stuck in your head, but Godspeed. I hope you're able to resolve it, because sometimes that's not desirable. SPY, by the way, pulling back from that opening impulse move. It looks like it's stopping so far at the VWAP. We'll see if that holds.
And I know you're joking, Jay, but if Best Buy was getting bought out, I really have serious doubts that GME would be the one to do it.
No, I almost wonder if it's the other way around.
Right.
Is it Best Buy buying GME?
And to that point, I don't even know what Best Buy would even want with GME, because Best Buy already has a whole game section. I don't think they need to get a game store. Physical, games, products. It's really like the console and controllers themselves. A lot of games are, sold online these days, unless you're buying them from a console. I don't think Best Buy needs GameStop at all, unless they just, I wouldn't know why would they want it. I can't think of a reason. EEIQ is over 9. Holy cow. It certainly is. And it is ripping up to 10. Almost at 10. It's going to halt.
I'll tell you what, maybe I was wrong about the 0 DTE. I mean, this thing's been an absolute rip. This is almost 100% from the VWAP cross that we saw here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just be careful with it. You go to the risks.
That SPY pullback to the VWAP bounced right back to the highs.
Let's see. And that's like the only thing that's halted right now. Nothing else I'm seeing is halted. Looks like errors.
And here, so 13, you were talking earlier about the headlines out of Iran and how, might just be worth it to ignore it. Iranians have said diplomacy has not stopped and a path forward is still possible. And they have also said at the same time, there is still no arrangement for negotiations and no plan for talks appear realistic at this stage. So they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They're saying both things.
Like I said, there's nothing I can really lean on when it comes to the news at this stage. It feels like a propaganda battle. So
and you know what? There's something to be said here for trading the headlines. And I mean, this is one of the reasons why I keep bringing it up. If you're going to trade the headlines, trade the headlines, but just don't just know that there's a lot of back and forth here. We also still have that 5-day ultimatum. I'm sure there's a whole taco crowd out there that's going. So a lot of stuff can happen. Nikhil, new to the channel. Well, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. I was wondering what's the reason behind the pullback on Ondas. They did an offering here today in the pre-market, and it looks to be pulling back on that offering. Although, to be quite honest, it's, we've seen some of these stocks do offerings and get absolutely pounded. This is down 3%. The SPY is still red. The market's still red despite its bounce. So not the end of the world here, but that's what's going on. That's the news that's fresh here today. And Michael here, 13. Michael here saying you can't trade on geopolitical events. It's hard, and you have to be fast because it changes so fast.
You can certainly trade on them. It's just, I think, sorry to sound like a jerk, but you certainly can. It's just successfully is the real operative word I think we want to include in there, because you can certainly trade these geopolitical events. You might be successful, but it's very difficult, and you could lose a lot of money trying to do that. So I will say you can. Successfully is a real big issue. You may want to sit a lot of that geopolitical stuff out. But yeah, sorry to sound like a jerk about that, but you can certainly trade those. It's just dangerous. And then there was another comment here. Bob Hattar, this guy, he's out at 977 on EEIQ. Absolutely killing it. Well done.
Nice job. Here, registering for Bob today. Let's go.
And then Retro asking me any thoughts on APLD. Kramer gave it a blessing last night, which I never trust, holding from 1441. Let's see what let's take a look at APLD real quick. All right. So this thing
BZAI, by the way, pounding highs right now. And Eric here, this is another thing. Trump makes it harder because it just changes every day. No knock on him, but he makes it. You're absolutely right about that. You are absolutely right about that. But on the flip side of that, if you're nimble and if you're trying to trade the volatility and the back and forth, he creates that by doing a lot of this. It's just for those of us that kind of want to swing and hold things and capture trends, much, much more difficult.
So
look at APLD getting shellacked.
I'm just going to speak on this one. This one has earnings coming up in 2 weeks, and it's been struggling to get above and hold above the 20-day SMA. We just closed above it yesterday, and now here we are losing it. I think this ends up coming down to about 24. You are looking at support from the 200-day SMA there, and there's even some support right beneath it in the form of a trend line that would looks like that could give you some support around 23. So I think support's coming in this one. But I do think that from here, you're likely going to see a little bit more downside. I don't have a whole lot to add beyond that. I didn't even look at the cash or anything like that. But just looking at the chart, to me, it seems like if this continues to struggle with the 20-day SMA, you're going to get a $24 print.
And then Jay here mentioning Microsoft and CRM is seeing some buyers. Now, we talked earlier about software kind of getting a pullback. Microsoft is getting bought here. This is what the intraday 5-minute chart looks like. Here's CRM. Let's take a look at a couple of others here. Apple looks like that's getting bought. Netflix, you might also be able to add there. So a lot of these getting bought here. Izzy's talking about Amazon as per usual. Here's Amazon. Nice little dip and rip there on Amazon. Izzy.
EIQ is open and is absolutely soaring. Soaring. And it's probably going to soar.
I'll tell you what, 13. When you say it's soaring and I look at the stock and it's up 320%, I'm like, yes, okay, thank you. Sometimes CNBC says stock XYZ is soaring, and I pull it up in my broker plus 2%. And I'm like, guys, chill, okay?
Oh, kind of how like markets are in turmoil when we're down 1%.
Yep, we're 9% off the all-time highs.
Oh my God! All
get the bear graphics out. Get the bull getting bucked into the air. I mean,
well, that's how Ryan feels about the Bears.
Oh, I wasn't even trying to go there. I just saw a piece of news flash across the wire. Packers edge Micah Parsons expected to miss first 3 to 4 games of the season. Didn't even want to have to do that.
Totally expected with an injury like that, man.
Yeah, no, I'm joking here. Nice to glad the chat picked up on that. That's good.
12.12 in EEIQ.
This is, tell you what, now I am upset that I
Do you
missed
remember
it. Nikhil, bear down, let's go.
Do you remember the scene from Finding Nemo where he's holding on to the turtle shell, the sea turtle shell, and he's just all righteous? Yeah, that's what people holding on with EEIQ are experiencing right now. This thing is just ripping. Also, MBOT. Here we go with some finally with some upside after a pretty muted morning following the loss of the VWAP. Recaptured VWAP, trying to come back up to the pre-market highs of 278. We're at 275 right now.
Choo choo chewy. Glenn. Hey, look at this though. Glenn, you think we go on a run here? We just talking about swing trades and stuff like that. You think we break this high here from yesterday and go on a run?
No, guys. Let's not kick ourselves over, not being an EIQ. If you got a successful trade in this, that's all that matters. It can do whatever it wants because at some point, it could happen anytime now. If this initiate some kind of an offering, you're going to be thanking your lucky stars you're not in this one. I don't know if that's going to happen right now, but it's something that they need to do. They have to get cash. It's usually one way they're going to do it. BZAI 157 as the high now. This is coming up to the sideways consolidation from the after hours and the pre-market from the previous 2 days. Looking around.
SPY is kind of consolidating at this high after the pop. Perhaps building to go higher. I would want that VWAP to maybe catch up and support it a little bit. You folks are talking about UGRO. Big run yesterday. Let's see what we get here today. Down 21% still, but this is a $6 reversal off the lows.
Kind of looking around for something, and nothing I'm seeing really gassing me up here. Keep an eye on FCHL because we did kind of come out of the gate. We dropped down to the pre-market lows and got support there again. So I'm wondering if with FCHL this could be the next one that starts to go here. Need to see a recapture of that VWAP. We're going right up to it.
What's interesting here is that we actually have a bearish fair value gap. So something to consider here. Let me see if I can draw it for you. That's going to be right in here. Sorry, 13. Right in here is your bearish fair value gap. So that might also be a resistance area.
Okay. I mean, that's just above that consolidation from the after hours. Maybe. Let's see if it can even get back, past VWAP. Where's your VWAP at? It's probably still a little bit up there.
332.
Okay, I got mine at 324, so a little bit lower than yours, but I mean, I still maintain. Let's see if it can even get past either one of these VWAPs.
AIFF. This actually does continue to set some new highs here. I would be just have a stop set in case this thing yanks. We've seen that before out of some of these movers, but this actually is pretty good action here today.
EIQ got some support around 1040, trying to push back up towards those session highs of 1270.
Ross saying FCHL is toss restricted, so you need to have that restriction lifted if you're going to trade that.
Yeah, volume's starting to look a little weaker. It was picking up there a moment ago, but here we go with the move past VWAP. I just had to start talking about it.
So SPY coming back into VWAP. Again, we'll see if it holds.
Yeah, let me look at a SPY chart because this looks like it's just kind of cooling off from that move up out of the gate it had. Look at this.
Figma made a nice pop here. We'll see if this holds its VWAP at 2190.
Okay.
ARM actually having a decent day after having a pretty good pop yesterday.
I think with the SPY, we're going to want to see 653 hold. And if we do get that support down at as low as 653, I mean, support might be a little bit higher, but if we at least have 653 hold, we might be able to see some movement through 655 this morning. It's going to need to see some better volume than this, though. Fatten pop. Fat pipe. Not so much a pop as
right.
Not so much a pop as it's been kind of trading up all morning. We had some movement. I mean, it's run into resistance, and then after a pullback, it moves through resistance. So we had a movement out of the gate after it sold off into the open. It moved up to the 240s, got resistance, found support around 210, and after we came back up through the VWAP, we broke out beyond that previous resistance area. So now that resistance area of 240, 245, that's going to be support. We already got that support once with this last 5-minute candle. This could still climb higher. I just put in a new session high right there. Maybe it goes up to, it could go up to 3. I see resistance up at 325. That's possibly where you see this go to. I don't know where the final destination is, but just looking at this candle from February 3rd, it was a high volume day that ended up selling into. So maybe it goes up to 325.
A SPY trying to bounce off its VWAP as we speak here. See if it's got the strength to do that. Actually, it doesn't look terrible.
FCHL.
Chicago Realtor did hit COD earlier, hit it for about a point just on a quick day trade, but actually missed the move to new highs there.
And FCHL is now putting in new session highs. Fantastic. I don't think we haven't quite got to the area we were looking at, but it did trade a little bit higher.
Yeah, I was just going to say FCHL. It's doing the thing right through the VWAP there. Sorry, you toss folk.
Looks like MKDW hit 695 and backed off, going down towards the VWAP now. Fatten just hit 273 and pulled back slightly. We're still above 260.
Nice bounce there on the SPY. So I'll tell you what, the entry indicators from the or the entry signals from the indicator both worked here today. I had a series of them right at the open and a series of them on this pullback to VWAP. Those have worked so far. Big Hurt done for the day. Good stuff. Keep that money in your pocket, boss. We'll be back tomorrow for you.
Hey, you know what? You still had a great trade in EEIQ, and I think you did fantastic. Come back tomorrow, and we'll find another EEIQ we can trade. Take care, Big Hurt. MKDW now starting to really sell here. Losing VWAP.
Bang, SPY back up there.
Mm-hmm. Looking for
back up there.
Looking for that 655. And we can fill the gap from the overnight trading. If you look at a 5-minute chart, we did slightly gap down from about 655, 43, I think, 655, 41. And then when we opened this morning in the pre-market, we were down at 654.18. So slight gap to fill. If we do manage to get over 655, it's going to take us a little higher. ITB, big buyer of the April 95 calls yesterday. Housing, did it bottom? Did housing bottom? I'm not the one to answer that.
SPY new highs. Boom, boom, boom.
Do you see signs of housing bottoming, Ryan?
No. You mean housing stocks?
No, just housing in general, I believe, because Jay Rice was mentioning that ITB has a big buyer for the April 95 calls yesterday, and he's asking housing did it bottom.
Yeah, but he's asking about the stocks. He's asking if the stocks have bottomed, right? The ITB, that's the home construction ETF. So here's the thing. So this is the and 13, we've talked about this a lot on Happy Hour. This is the prime time of the year for home buying and moving. And so I'm not surprised to see people actually trying to take that trade here. But didn't we have mortgage rates creep back up over 7%?
Yeah, so it could be a bit of a muted season.
Yeah. I think that's a trade on the season. And I, you know what, Jay, I think if we turn around and we do end up, I mean, they're talking about interest rate hikes here. I think if we start talking about cuts again, yeah, maybe it has.
I think the discussion with interest rate hikes is premature.
So do I, but it's just what's out there right now.
I know. I agree.
And here, Chicago Realtor, here you go. I would be careful with homes and mortgage stocks now, especially while mortgage rates are rising.
To me, it looks like we could see the price of ITB kind of come back up to the 20-day SMA, but it's entering some resistance areas. So I don't think I'd be convinced that this particular ETF has bottomed yet. It looks like it's bottoming. But if it started coming back up now, I think it could stand to get rejected around somewhere between 95 and 96.
Michael says LPX tells you all you need to know about housing.
And yeah, Jay, they are, this is pretty hammered down. I mean, the RSI is at 35, so it's coming off a very low RSI, and it could come back up. But I have these hangups about how high this is going to go. I think we're still going to see some resistance until we get a little bit more clarity on what the Fed's going to do. And I think that they're very wishy-washy right now.
I would agree with that. And I wouldn't even be shocked if you get more of that wishy-washiness until Warsh takes over, which I do think will be in May. I think they'll have that whole suit thing taken care of.
There was some news, I think, this morning out of one of the Fed members. I think it was Mirren. Let me see. He says raised headline inflation projection this year to 2.7 on oil shock. The Fed is about percentage point over neutral rate. So, of course, Mirren thinks that there's more rate cuts coming. Yeah, so lots of, I mean, we saw the dot plot just recently. There's still some pretty big difference of opinion about where rates are headed.
Indeed. FCHL might be trying to push higher here. That pulled back to the VWAP and bounced. Did not take it myself. I have toss. I'm restricted on it.
It certainly did. Still looking for that 390 print. That is the high of the, well, I take that back. It's not the high of the pre-market. The high was when we opened and went up to 466, but that's the high of this impulse that we had back at about 820 this morning. With the some of the consolidation we were seeing in the after hours yesterday. Holy cow! It's already 10:20.
I know. I'll tell you what. I can't believe how fast this morning went by. A nice little bounce there in the SPY. A couple of movers that made some outsized moves. That's what this crew likes probably more than anything here. And look what happened to the time. It just got deleted and disappeared.
No, you're right, Trey Blue. The mortgage rates are based off the 10-year, and the Fed changing rates isn't going to materially affect mortgage rates. It's more of a longer term thing, but it's putting pressure on high interest rates are putting pressure on households, and it's also making it harder for small businesses. So I kind of correlate that as to you're probably going to see fewer home buyers because of the difficulty in with home, personal finances and the expense of everything. There's one other category that I just can't think of. But
What's
anyway, I think that's where I was leaning into with the Fed rate policy. But you're right, mortgage rates based off of the 10-year.
I don't know why the cameras keep switching. I'll ask the producer. Maybe he knows.
10-year higher than ever. Is it? I don't think ever, but it should be elevated. I don't think that. Let me look myself before I say something wrong. Let me look. Okay, so the 10-year bond is at 4.36. I don't think that's the highest it's ever been. And if you're just exaggerating, I understand, but it did. It did snap the downtrend that we've been in since the beginning of January.
FCHL, sorry for interrupting 13. FCHL just went ham, set some new highs here. And EEIQ, which is the other one that you were giving warnings out earlier. Look at this. Look at the move right back in. This is why we are so on top of, sell some, book some. You never know when it's going to turn around. We talked about this maybe being at risk of an offering. Big time pullback here, EIQ. Glad you guys got your gains out of it.
And now, I'm not saying that we should just be starting to jump back into EIQ, but it's interesting how we've halted down just above at least my VWAP, but also just above some of these highs that we were putting in right after the pre-market opened. So it's come down to a support area. We're going to see if this support will hold up. And then as far as
the trying to go higher too.
As far as the 10-year goes, we're not at, the highs that we were back in 2023 October, which was approaching 5%. So that's going to be more of where we don't want to be, but it's still, the 10-year is still very elevated. We've been kind of sideways here for, I want to say like about 1.5, 2 years, but we've kind of snapped this downtrend that we've been in since January of 2025, and that's not a good sign. Thoughts on Micron?
Good company, but going through a corrective phase right now. SanDisk 2 was getting pounded earlier. So Micron, actually, the bleeding stopped here. Let's take a look at SanDisk. SanDisk still down 6%. This also has put in its lows for the day.
Yeah, Micron consolidating down to a support area that's been getting support. The past 2 times it was down in this area, it rebounded and went back up. The last time it was down here, it went higher. So this is a support area that it's come down to. Whether or not it's going to hold up, I can't say. I still think that we may end up seeing some lower prints. But right now, it's just a matter of, can 360, I think that's the level I want to keep an eye on. Can 360 hold up?
I had asked the other day when Micron was literally sitting at the 50, how many people were thinking about buying that for a potential bounce on a hold of the 50. I couldn't get any takers on it. And like the next day, the thing I came back in.
My
Monster
was,
sorry, 13. Monster day for Izzy. Register ring, buddy. Register ring. Tell me Benzinga Pro helped you. Just make my day and tell me that.
I was looking at Micron, the 50-day SMA, and that's the point I was making is, let's see if that can hold up. If it holds up and starts to turn around, yeah, it could be a buy. The very next day, we got our answer. The answer was no. Read on Intuit. I'll look at Intuit, and then there was, I think they don't have a whole lot. We have 5 minutes, so I'll look at Intuit, and then I'll look at Planet Labs. Intuit, struggling with the 50. Okay, so I mean, this is one of the names that was really getting hammered because of the fear of AI taking over. Some of these software's jobs. Like with Intuit, one of their big things was, QuickBooks and tax. What is that thing that they have? Their tax software. So I think with the fear was with AI, these were hammering down a lot of the software names, this one included. We lost the 50-day SMA the very start of the year, and we have not been back above it since. So recapture the 50-day SMA, I think, would be a significant recapture. Need to see multiple closes over it, but I think that's the thing I'd be keeping an eye on, since we have not seen any trading or closing over the 50-day SMA since the year started. Like literally the first day that we started this 2026 year, we opened beneath the 50-day SMA and closed beneath it.
Really quickly here,
Yep,
Reginald, let me just throw this out here. Reginald, first of all, if this was a Zoom group right now, the call outs could be awesome. Let me tell you something. The call outs are awesome without this being a Zoom call. We've been running the show for a number of years, and this chat group, one of the reasons why I am constantly hyping it up is because of the job that they do on a regular basis. We got guys in here that are basically human scanners for the group. And they have so many more eyes than me, and they're looking at so many more things than 13 and I together, that it really helps out. Now, one of the things we've been kicking around for an idea to try and grow our community, let me get the group's opinion here. Producer, shield your ears, because this is going to mean work for you. What do you guys think about a Discord group that basically plays along with our show? In other words, we open up a Discord. It's open to whoever wants to join, and the trading can keep going on after the show ends. My big hang up for that is that we also have chat in Benzinga Pro, and I would love for all of you to be part of the Benzinga Pro community where 13 moderates the chat room. But I'm thinking that there might be some other things that we could do on like a Discord to try and keep the trading going, keep the idea generation going, hopefully grow our community here. And then the other thing that we might be able to do down the road, if this works out, is have different people do the voice channel for stock callouts. We could basically create our own Squawk service with our active traders. Okay, you guys, I don't think I've seen a single no yet. I've only seen yeses and excitement.
As long as we, don't make that into a group that has gotten in trouble for, pushing particular names.
Yeah. We would have to come up with a set of rules for that, because I agree. Like, one of the things that I think separates this show from a lot of the stuff that's out there is that we're not trying to pump garbage and leave people holding the bag. We're actually trying to help here.
Yeah, we have.
I don't want that to change. I really don't. I really don't. That's something I'm very sensitive to. Good mention.
So real quick before we run out of time, I said I'd mention, or I'd look at Planet Labs. And Ryan, you can pull up a daily chart here with me and tell me if you see the same thing. But this has been fantastically holding above 31. And it's interesting too, because on January 16th, the high that we put in of 30.90 has kind of acted as a bit of a support area ever since we gapped up into this floating island that we're in right now. So Ryan, you see these and you know how these work way better than I do. But if this looks like a floating island to you, do you think that this is looking like it could lead to more upside? Right now, for me, it's kind of caught between 32 and 36. I think the space theme is strong. This one, I like the company. It does lose a lot of money. It has revenue though, and it has a ton of cash on the balance sheet. And I think that you're going to see a lot more business come Planet Labs' way for imaging from space. But I just, I don't know enough about this company to know what's going to take the price higher. I think the most recent price target was like, from 36 to 40. So I don't have a whole lot I can add to this aside that the floating island looks pretty good.
Yeah, so first of all, highest price target I see is 40. That's a street high. It comes from Wedbush, Cantor, and Needham. They all have the same $40 target. As far as the floating island, yeah, actually looks like it's playing out. Now, I will say, just trying to be as technical as I can, because nothing's a guarantee in the market, we actually did break the bottom of the impulse candle slightly. We did this on GEV too, and GEV ended up working out. So it's not necessarily a death blow, but it looks to me like this is playing out, and it did set a new high. So we'll see if we've got some more. Okay. The Discord is the Wild West, requires robust moderation. Yeah, indeed. And I think we would probably also be invite only. So you have to come here first to get the invite. That way we'd be able to weed out bots, something like that. We'll think about that. I'll think about that. 13, we're out of time. We already went a minute over, but it was worth every second. Do you have any closing words for the group?
Hey, everybody that has been trading some of these movers this morning and being successful and being mindful of where the risks are, congratulations. This has been a really fun morning. Not just trading stocks and EEIQs open again, but also just talking about different risks and things that can affect the price action. It's been a fun morning. I hope to see you guys come back here tomorrow. We'll talk more, we'll trade more, we'll make more money, and it'll be a fun time. So until then, folks, have a great rest of your Thursday. I'll see you on Friday. Take care. Goodbye.
All right. Really good stuff, 13. We'll see you tomorrow to close out the week. Folks, we're done here for today. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks for the ideas. Thanks for the positivity. And thanks for staying on task. It is absolutely awesome. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.